Hello girls and boys, and welcome to another episode. So first off, sorry for the long waiting time after my last video. I've been power grinding ranked and randoms lately to get my hands on Druid, Vampire 2 and Ragnar, and I basically have all resources acquired now. But it definitely took a toll on my sanity, and I couldn't be bothered recording a commentary whenever I wasn't playing the game. So sorry for that. On another note, do you remember how I was citadeling a Des Moines in my Marceau at 11 km in my last video? Although Marceau clearly lacks the penetration to penetrate the main armor belt at that range, I finally figured out what's going on here after talking to Gaishu, a pretty amazing NA streamer. As you can see, Des Moines has a 30mm plate under her citadel armor that sits well below the waterline. However, at 11 km Marceau's shells come in at such a steep angle that they pass the waterline but will still hit the 30mm citadel plating and cause a citadel hit in the process. I tried to record it in-game by placing the camera right below the waterline next to a Des Moines, but it's pretty much pointless since shells stop being rendered after they go into the water. But they are definitely still there and can inflict damage, so I made this beautiful illustration with Microsoft Paint instead. The steepness of the shell trajectory is a little bit exaggerated. Nonetheless, I hope the drawing is comprehensible enough to get my point across. With the built-in normalization, the shells can and will penetrate the citadel plating after traveling through the water. It's easily reproducible if you want to check it out in the training room yourself. Anyway, about Stalingrad. Contrary to the title of today's episode, usually the last thing you want to do is playing Stalingrad like a fortress, especially not in the year of our Lord 2021, although I do end up playing her like one due to the absurd amount of DDs in this game and my desire to put an island between me and them. Normally in a DD heavy match like this, I wouldn't recommend to park your big and clumsy cruiser anywhere on the map because it just makes you a sitting duck waiting for incoming torpedoes. And the only reason I can afford playing rather stationary is because I have a Halland in my division who's guarding my flank. But yeah, about that fortress thumbnail, as you will see, Turkey Shoot would have also been a suitable title for today's video. But I thought the fortress makes the thumbnail a little bit more dramatic and clickable, and a lot of people still seem to be associating Stalingrad with that kind of playstyle and tankiness, but in comparison to her release, her survivability has taken a pretty big beating, and playing Stalingrad like a fortress will usually result in a guaranteed quick one-way ticket back to port these days. The Russian supercruiser has been subject to many direct and indirect nerfs. For example, she cannot full pan DDs with AP anymore. She burns as long as a BB. Oh wait, there's this Colbert. Okay, I have no idea what that guy was doing. Okay, where was I? Yeah, she burns as long as a BB. Yet she can't take fire prevention, her defensive AA consumable is useless, her radar duration got reduced. So I hardly consider her overpowered, let alone super tanky anymore. Sure, correctly angled she can withstand battleship AP decently, but players who know how to aim will just target her upper nose, her butt, or her massive superstructure is the word, and chunk her regardless of angling, and the same is true for Italian SAP. It's just a massive counter to her otherwise pretty resilient armor. So is Stalingrad only a shadow of her former self? Honestly, yeah, I mean, she still has her amazing main battery going for her, and battleship shells with cruiser-like accuracy will never go out of style, but apart from that, there's not much to write home about. Her concealment, rudder shift and turning radius are horrible. The only good part about her hull is her speed of 35 knots and her HP pool. Though having the largest hit point pool of all cruisers doesn't mean much when you burn twice as long as other cruisers, and people tend to spam a lot of HE at Stalingrad. However, in spite of all her flaws, she's still kind of enjoyable to play in random battles, because there seems to be a never-ending influx of new players at tier 10. And of course, the special people that will never improve are also still playing the game, so there's definitely no shortage of broadside targets to shoot at. And this match in particular is a testament to that statement, as you have witnessed already. The timing is a little bit off after we already got our first kill. By the way, clearly that was not a death strike on the Colbert. Thank you Wargaming for your quality coding, but let's quickly review my commander build and the upgrades. Absolutely nothing special to see here, since you can't enhance the survivability of super cruisers or cruisers in general anymore, apart from taking survivability expert, which I don't recommend on Stalingrad. It's a bland build that focuses on dealing damage while retaining as much concealment as possible. I'm definitely not a fan of heavy HE shells or outnumbered or any of those shenanigans, because that little bit of concealment paired with your speed are the only tools that allow you to disengage when things go south. So overall it's an uninspiring battlecruiser build, which in my opinion says more about the state of the new commander skill tree than about my personal preferences. Anyways, let's start focusing a little bit on the gameplay here. Believe it or not, but more than half of the match is already behind us. The Shima dropped a cute little smoke screen here, probably in an attempt to save my division mate in his Kremlin, but I think he's still spotted from the middle, so he has to ram his head into the island to get into the smoke screen. I'm using a suboptimal heal here just because I was a little bit afraid of getting smacked by that Yamato, because when you can use your third turret, usually your angling is not good enough to bounce BB shells reliably. Unfortunately, I'm about to run into my Kremlin and collide with him, and I'm not sure, but the last stray shells that finish him off were possibly not even aimed at him anymore. That's really unfortunate. However, I should point out that I rarely use Discord or TeamSpeak while playing with other people. If we had talked to each other, that little accident most likely could have been avoided. Paper hands. So the enemies have lost 5 ships already in comparison to the 2 casualties on our side. The death of my Kremlin is a little bit sad, but my other division mate has done a remarkable job with keeping the enemy DDs in check so far. The only thing that is still holding us back from pushing around the island is the enemy Yamato. I mean, I have no doubt I would be able to defeat her in a 1 versus 1. But angling 2 18-inch guns and dodging torpedoes at the same time usually does not end well, so as long as she's alive I'll just chill here, though she's probably not going to last very long with all the torpedoes and shells coming her way. At this point you might have noticed that one of my biggest weaknesses in Stalingrad is having the proper ammo type selected for upcoming engagements. For example, with AP I would have definitely killed the Yamato here, but in the past Stalingrad was a no-brainer, just like most of the BBs, 99% of the time. AP was the ammo of choice because not only were you able to obliterate broadside battleships and cruisers with your armor-piercing shells, but the second DD turned into you or angled sharply towards or away from you, you could almost death strike them with a single salvo, because you would get full penetrations on their hulls. However, with the removal of the ability to full pen DDs with shells bigger than 280mm, I believe, the skill ceiling for Stalingrad has raised a little bit, cause nowadays you have to put at least some thoughts into the selection of your shell type. Hence, having gun feeder is an absolute must these days, but honestly, and that's an unpopular opinion for sure, if I were in charge of balancing at Wargaming, I would revert these changes immediately and allow bigger guns to full pen DDs again, because ever since Wargaming implemented these changes, gunboat DDs started to dominate the seas, and BBs became bigger XP pinatas than ever before. Of course, that keep here is a poor example of my statement, because I was just ignoring her for a little bit to get more damage on the Kansas. But keep in mind, this comes from someone who mainly plays DDs, especially gunboats, with great success, but I still firmly believe that was a very unhealthy change for the game, although it surely helped out average DD commanders a lot. Feel free to discuss with me about that topic in the comments. I would really like to hear your opinions, because I know there are some passionate destroyer captains among my viewers. Regarding the game, it's basically a wrap. The only remaining question is, can I get a Kraken and maybe even a 6th kill? We take out the Kansas, but there are so many people shooting at the air gear that I don't think we will reload in time for another salvo. I should have held my fire here, because now someone else will secure the kill. An absolute stomp, and usually the kind of game I wouldn't feature on my channel, but I wanted to show that Stalingrad is still a capable ship as long as you don't make yourself an easily farmable target. And the devastating potential of her main battery is still there, although you have to be a little bit smarter about pressing your 1 and 2 keys at the appropriate time. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I hope to catch you next time. See you soon and take care. So there's definitely no shortage. No shortage. Stalingrad was a no-brainer, just like most of the BBs. 99% of